situations that we find ourselves in. I got up, some of us got up early yesterday morning and we went to work an hour. Some went to work 2 hours early yesterday and doing some things for, they got Employee Appreciation Week. And I guess maybe getting up that early in the morning, my mind was still running, but I had a thought hit me on my way to work. And if y'all with friends with me on Facebook, y'all saw what I posted as soon as I got to work. But the thought kept going through my mind about and it's the Micah Tyler song, but he talks about it, the situation, God, if it's not going to change, just change me. And how right now it seems like everyone, it's not just the virus that's going on, everybody's got other little things going on in their life. And I got to thinking about how there's all these little offices, all these little breakdowns in every person's life that you have that make you who you are. Your health is one thing that makes you who you are. Your walk with God is one thing that makes you who you are. Your family is what helps make you who you are. Your work, all these different things add together, and at one point in time, one or two of them might be a hard time you might find yourself going through, but hey, I'm going through a hard time in A and B, but C, D, and E, all of them are okay, so I'm going to be all right. I'm going to make it through this. Then every once in a while, we find ourselves in that situation where all of the above is going through the ringer. And we don't know. You don't have that, well, it's going good over here, so when I'm here, I can relax, I can recharge, I can be okay. Sometimes your health might get a little shaky while you're at one of your spiritual strong points in your walk with God, so you're okay. But sometimes they hit while you're at one of a weak point. Sometimes they don't, and we hope and pray that we can get through them, and we look into God to help us out. And that song that Samantha sang, it works out really good with this tonight. There is going to be a light at the end of the dark.
Right.
Brother Ray said last Sunday morning that it would still be worth serving God every day of our life, even if heaven didn't exist. Even if it was just to get you through the life that you live on this earth, it would still be worth it.
Yeah, right.
But I got to thinking about how and y'all know I like to watch different things about different parts of the world, and Alaska is one of my favorite places to learn about. And they actually have rivers in Alaska that when they freeze, the ice on them are so thick they turn into highways. They drive up and down them. Lord, we get a 1-inch snow flurry, and we Georgia folks, we don't know what to do in snow on a highway. But they riding up and down a river. They're taking deliveries in pretty decent-sized trucks, and they're crossing these different places and all these things. I got thinking about how would it be like to know that you've only got access to get from one point or another only in the wintertime? The rest of the year, you have to do something different. And they do. They use airplanes and helicopters, and they make out the best way that they can, how they can, and that's just how they have to do things up there. That's just the nature of the beast of living in that place. But we're looking at our life sometimes, and we don't like how it's changed in this moment. Well, we don't always like things, but it's one of those things. I don't want to say it is what it is, but I got thinking about Joseph and all the things that Joseph went through. He never once let what was going on slow him down.
Right. That's right.
When his brothers sold him into slavery for no reason other than they were jealous. They made the scheme. They thought up. I tell you what we'll do. We'll sell him. We'll tell Daddy that something killed him. We'll take that coat that Daddy made him. We'll cover it in blood. And we'll take it in there and we'll tell him that something got him and everything will be okay. He won't be none the wiser. And we'll be through with him. And we ain't got to sit back and watch Daddy's precious little boy get to run around and skip and do whatever he wants to do while we're out here breaking our back in this heat every day working. We can get rid of it. So they sell him into slavery. He finds himself in Egypt. Genesis chapter 38. Excuse me, 39. Genesis 39, if you want to kind of flip through, we may bounce through some scriptures here. But it talked about how when he first got to Egypt, And he was bought and put in Potiphar's house, and Potiphar's captain of the guard, and he's a well-to-do, he's doing pretty good, he's rich, and he's a very important man at that time in Egypt, and that's where Joseph gets sent. And it said, there's a scripture in there that said that Potiphar noticed that everything Joseph put his hands to, God blessed. It prospered. Everything that he did, no matter what job they put Joseph to, he kept God in it, and it moved right along. You'll be surprised, like Sister Christy had on Facebook the other day, how many people will look at you and you will be the only Bible that they read. And you can be just like Joseph, and they can see God blessing and moving through you and through your life, even in a bad situation. He wasn't at home anymore working on Daddy's land or keeping the books or anything like that. He was working as a slave in someone else's house in a strange land that he didn't ask to go to, that nobody asked him, no one wrote him an invitation and asked him if he wanted to come. He just went. And lo and behold, just like the devil does, the devil tried to intervene in it because he seen something going on.
Right.
So the seed of lust got planted into Potiphar's wife. She begins to look upon him. But verse 8 says, but he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. But how then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, and he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. I like the little note, the study notes right here that my Bible's got in it. It says, sometimes temptation is so strong, there ain't no fighting it. You just got to drop and run from it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He just dropped, run from it so fast and so strong, she's still standing there holding his shirt. Well, then she had to come up with a lie of why in the world, why are you standing with Joseph's shirt? Well, he come after me, and when he heard y'all coming, he took his shirt off and threw it at me and ran off. Ooh, when this thing died, y'all ain't said nothing. He just ran away. He just, I don't know what happened. I guess he wanted to give me something to remember him by. So he just threw my shirt at me and said, here, baby, and he ran off. I don't know what happened. And then it went on, and we read in the scriptures where he was thrown into prison. And even still in that, you would have thought most anybody else, I would dare say anybody else in the world, at any point in time in history, once they got to that prison, that would have been the ending point. That would have been it. Well, I just can't win for losing. I ain't never done anybody any wrong. I've always just tried to be the best person that I could be, and every time it turns around, here I am. I've messed. It's just everything fell apart and broke down again. But even in that jail, prison, dungeon, whatever you want to call it, God still used him. The people that he was in there with, they began having dreams that they didn't have any clue about what was going on. Joseph interpreted the dreams to them and went on, and he says how whenever the butler that he interpreted for, it comes down to the dream comes out. Chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and he said, in my dream, beheld a vine. This is 40 verse 9. A vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes, and Pharaoh's cup was in mine hand. And I took the grapes and pressed them in Pharaoh's cup, and gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, this is the interpretation of it, the 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thee unto thy place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand after the former manner when thou wast in his butler. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they would put me in the dungeon. He's actually looking at another person that's in the same position that he's in, that is locked up. Yes, he saw the vision and the dream. He saw the interpretation. In 3 days, you're coming out of here. You are my way out. When you get back into Pharaoh's house, you tell Pharaoh about me. You tell Pharaoh how I was stolen. I was sold into slavery. I need to go speak to him. You are my only way out. And on the days that it come to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants, and he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, that was the interpretation of his dream, as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. We all go through times where we feel like everybody's forgot about us. We all go through times where we think every word that comes out of our mouth makes somebody mad. We all think that every time we turn around, somebody's not going to have anything to do with us anymore. Here this man is. Joseph was thinking, well, this is my last time. He could have rolled over in his bed and said, y'all just ate too much of that rotten food they've been feeding us, and it gave you some kind of stupid dream and went back to sleep. But instead, he sat up and interpreted the dream to these men. He was still doing everything that he could. He never slowed down. Even in the darkest night he could have been facing. Down in this jail, I picture it in my mind being a dungeon. I know the scriptures here we just read calls it a jail, but it's still and yet either one of what you want to call it, it wasn't something that you would choose to live in. But even still and yet, even with the devil, once again, like he always has throughout the Bible, he might have been sitting back thinking, yep, God, you thought you had something with that Joseph, and now I got him completely disposed. I got him sitting off to the side. You can't use him now for anything. It's just you wipe him off the plate. It's completely gone. Don't worry about it. But chapter 41 starts talking about how it came to pass at the end of 2 full years. Joseph wasn't in his jail for just a week or 2.
Right.
However long it had been up to this point, it's been 2 years since the butler and the baker got out. It came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river, and there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kind of fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kind came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean flesh, and they stood by the other king and upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean flesh kind did eat up the 7 well-favored. So Pharaoh awoke. And he slept and dreamed the 2nd time, and behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears, and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them. The 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. Well, Pharaoh gets troubled. He's talking about it. He's talking with his servants. He's talking to whoever, he's probably talking to all kinds of whatever he would have been talking to, and I keep wanting to say witch doctor, but anybody he could have been, sorcerers or anything, trying to get this dream interpreted, and he can't get anybody to make heads or tails of it. Finally, the butler remembers, hey, I was locked up with a guy that can interpret dreams. Maybe he's still alive. Hopefully he ain't died down there in that jail, and you can get him up here, and I'm pretty sure he could probably tell you what this dream is that you're dreaming. Well, I know we know this story. This is like one of the most well-told child stories in the Bible that you can tell. They bring Joseph up to Pharaoh. Pharaoh tells him the dreams, and Joseph tells him, your dreams are saying you're about to have 7 years of plenty. Crops are going to be fine. Everything's going to be great. then you're going to have 7 years of famine. There ain't nothing going to grow. You ain't going to have no water. It's just going to be bad. And when Pharaoh begins to ask him about what maybe we should do, Joseph begins to tell him, you need to put back so much every year through the good, so that when the bad hits, they will be able to go back to that bank that you've put up, and you'll have something to give out to everybody, and it'll get you through the 7 bad. Now he finds himself being the number 2 man in the world at the time that he was living. There's none other above him but Pharaoh. He answers to one person and one person only. He is in charge. If he says this is what we're putting up, it's what we're putting up. We don't second guess it. We don't do anything about it. But God still has one more test in store for Joseph. It wasn't that Joseph arrived. He's number 2 at the time in Egypt. He's number 2, and everything's going great for him. He ain't wanting for nothing. And lo and behold, as their 7 years of bad hit, he looks standing in line, and the people that's coming in to try to get enough food to feed their families out of the bank they've put up, he sees no other than his brothers. He's in a great position of power at that point in time. He could have pointed and said, lock them all up.
Right.
Kill them all. I don't want nothing to that. Nothing would have been said about it. As high ranking as he was at that time in history, he didn't really need much of a reason. Just the fact he said he wanted them gone would have been enough. But if you look at Genesis chapter 44, if I had marked the right scripture, and I didn't. Good gracious. He tells his brothers not to feel bad for what they did. He said, y'all don't think a second thought about what you did to me. No problem. Lives were saved because I was here when I was here. And if you hadn't have done what you've done, I wouldn't be here. Sometimes we have to be willing to be able to look at some of the bad that we went through and thank God for the bad and say, you know what, if it wasn't for that bad, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have been when I was needed. I wouldn't have been where I needed to be when things were good. There ain't no way I would have been in this position when everything turned better. I wouldn't have been here. You kind of needed the bad to steer us in the right direction. You needed it to get you going and keep you moving. Because sometimes we get to going, and I can picture in my mind, and not all of y'all probably going to get this example, but y'all know in that movie Shrek, when Shrek and Donkey's going across that rope bridge? And the board breaks through, and Shrek, I'm looking down. Donkey turns around to go back where they come from. And Shrek says, wait, hold on, what are you doing? You can't go back that way. He said, no, I know that half is safe. I'm going back where I came from. We get shook in life sometimes, and we try to do the same thing Donkey tried.
All right.
I don't know what's going to happen over there, but I know what happened. Everybody talk about don't look back. Yeah, don't look back. Don't long for the life that you once lived. Sometimes it's not that you're longing to go back to what you left. It's I know what the deal is over there. I know how to handle myself. I don't know what's ahead of me. I want to go back. I know that half is safe. But if it's still, God don't want us going any kind of backward ways.
Come on.
Yeah, we know it's not. We don't know what's ahead. We knew where. The only reason why what you came through was safe was because God was there anyway. And He's still with you now through the uncertainty. He's still through us now with the uncertainty of this virus. He's in here with us through our lives. He's through with the uncertainty of not knowing, and it's kind of crazy, and I understand this is bad. And it's not just the virus. It's you're having to worry about a lot of things that we never thought we would have to worry about. You used to never thought you would have ever worried about whether or not you were going to run out of toilet paper. But now you counting them rolls, and you're like, whoo, I got to hunt down the store and try to find something.
You can't find them.
You ain't as picky as you once were either.
That's right.
it's funny, but it's just as real as I can be. And it's thinking just like, hey, look, even though all this is going on, God is still on the throne. He's still in charge.
Right.
And we can all be a little Josephs through this. And like the song Sister Samantha sang, when the light comes, y'all people's going to remember us through this.
Right.
So if y'all take anything from that tonight, just take that right there. Let's just all try to be little Josephs. Even the day that they say the coronavirus is no longer a worry, if that day ever comes, you still just hold on and try to be a little Joseph through your life.
Right.
I'm going to hush with that. That's